Welcome to IAS Project. We are continuing with lectures on Indian economy for UPSC Civil Services Exam. In India, it is mainly the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation that is responsible for producing estimates of national income. Various other ministries support Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation in this matter. Before 2015, India officially used to calculate national income at factor cost. So, before 2015, if someone says GDP, it meant GDP at factor cost. However, since 2015, CSO has switched over to officially calculating national income at market cost. And the base year for this was 2011 and 12. This is also the practice which is used internationally. So, at the moment, India has aligned itself with international practices for measuring GDP, which is at market cost. Base year was revised by CSO, that is Central Statistics Office, in January 2015. Previously, the base year was 2004 and 2005. Now, the base year is 2011 and 12. Such revision of base year is done as per the recommendations of National Statistical Commission. National Statistical Commission or NSC recommends changing the base year usually every 5 years. However, this is only a recommendation. This is not mandatory. Also, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation introduced a new series of national income estimation in 2015, which is guided by SNA 2008, that is System of National Accounts 2008 standards. SNA recommendations are made jointly by UN, IMF, OECD, World Bank and European Commission, particularly Eurostat. After the new series, which was announced in 2015, GDP will now refer to GDP at market prices or GDP at constant market prices. Constant means we know that base year is used. This is also the international practice. So before 2015, we know that GDP was measured at factor cost, but after 2015, GDP is measured at constant market prices, which is the international practice. Also, the headline growth rate will be growth rate of GDP at constant market prices. Headline, the word headline simply means that the main growth rate which is considered for making policies. This is also the growth rate which you read about in the newspapers. So headline growth rate simply means that the growth rate which is targeted by government and which is used for policy making. So before 2015, headline growth rate was measured for growth rate of GDP at factor cost. Sector-wise GV estimates will be at basic prices instead of factor cost. Corporate sector data, both manufacturing as well as services, will now be taken from MCA 21 database. We know that this is an e-governance initiative of Ministry of Corporate Affairs. This basically has annual accounts of companies which are registered under Companies Act. Previous to MCA 21 database, annual survey of industries data was used. Financial sector data will be taken from information from accounts of stockbrokers, stock exchanges, asset management companies, mutual funds, pension funds, SEBI, PFRDA, IRDA, etc. Coverage of activities for local bodies as well as autonomous institutions has been improved in the new series, that is, which was launched in 2015 with the base year as 2011 and 12. So often we hear NSO, CSO, NSSO. So let's clarify once and for all what these are. Basically, we have Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and we have two wings under this ministry. They are Statistics Wing, which is also called as NSO. NSO stands for National Statistical Office. So when someone says NSO, it means National Statistical Office or the Statistics Wing of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So we have Statistics Wing as well as Program Implementation Wing. So Program Implementation Wing is the second wing in Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Under NSO, which is the Statistics Wing of MOSPI, we have CSO, that is Central Statistics Office. We have NSSO, National Sample Survey Office, and we have a computer center. So when someone says CSO, NSSO, NSO, I hope the clarification is there now and you won't get confused. CSO is nothing but Central Statistics Office. NSSO is National Sample Survey Office. Both CSO, NSSO fall under NSO, which is nothing but the Statistics Wing of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Let's talk about NSO, that is National Statistical Office, which is nothing but the Statistics Wing of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. NSO has various responsibilities, like it is basically the nodal agency for all planned development of statistical systems in India. It prepares national accounts statistics. It also publishes annual estimates of national product, that is GNP and NNP, government and private consumption expenditure, that is GFCE and PFCE, capital formation, that is GCF, savings, that is gross savings, estimates of capital stock, and consumption of fixed capital. It also gives estimates of state domestic product at current prices. NSO also compiles and releases IAP, which is nothing but Index of Industrial Production, and this is done every month. NSO also conducts annual survey of industries. NSO also organizes and conducts periodic All India economic census. Let's look at a practice question for prelims. In India, the Index of Industrial Production is compiled and published by. Is it Chief Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance? No. Is it Central Statistics Office of NSO, which belongs to Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation? Yes. It is obviously not Ministry of Commerce and Industry or RBI. So the correct answer is CSO. With reference to Annual Survey of Industries in India, which of the below statements is correct? It is conducted by Ministry of Finance? No. It is conducted by Ministry of Commerce and Industry? No. It is conducted by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation? Yes, because it is conducted by NSO, which is a part of Ministry of Statistics and Implementation. It is conducted by RBI? No. So the correct answer is C. What are the recent developments in base year revision? National Statistical Commission, NSC, as we know, it recommended that base year of national accounts has to be changed every year. However, this was only a recommendation. In 2015, the base year was changed to 2011 and 2012. Previously, we know that it was 2004-2005. So the base year is revised periodically to capture the structural changes in economy. So why periodically? Because we know that with time, new types of goods and services come into the market. For example, 30 to 40 years ago, if we look at laptop sales, they were almost negligible or there were no laptop sales. Or at least there were no laptop sales that can be accounted substantially in GDP or national income. Similarly, if you look at typewriters today, they are almost negligible in sales. So what happens is with time, certain products become obsolete and certain new products emerge. So we have to include such new products in the base year and we have to remove such old products which are not relevant anymore. So this is why periodically base year is changed, because it better captures the structural changes that are happening in the economy. In India, the exercise of base year revision of national accounts is guided by Advisory Committee on National Accounts Statistics, that is nothing but ACNAS. Also, we must remember that base year should not be an abnormal year. What do we mean by abnormal year? It simply means that an year which is not normal. For example, an extraordinarily high growth rate for an year or extraordinarily low growth rate for an year or a recession or depression or such kind of years are called as abnormal years. On these grounds, in April 2022, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation clarified that 2020-21 year will not be taken as new base year because of its COVID-19 impact. So because of the COVID-19 impact, the growth of Indian economy was negative. So what happens is if we take 2020-21 as base year, it will lead to something called as a low base effect. Let's try to understand low base effect using an example. Let's say there are two countries A and B. In a particular year, let's say the GDP of country A is 20 and that of country B is 100. And GDP growth of country A in that year is 5. And GDP growth of the country B is also 5. So growth rate of country A is nothing but 5 divided by 20 into 100, which is nothing but 25%. And growth rate of B is nothing but 5 divided by 100 into 100, which is nothing but 5%. So although the value of growth is same in both countries, because of low base, the growth rate is very high. And because of very high base, the growth rate is very low. This is called as low base effect. When the base is very low, even small changes can lead to high fluctuations or high variations. So this is called as low base effect. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is also exploring an option called chain base method in place of the current fixed base method. What is the current fixed base method? It is nothing but 2011-12 year is fixed as base year. The GDP data of remaining years, which is nothing but a series, are considered using constant prices of 2011-12. The difference in chain base method is that base year keeps changing every year. For example, for 2020-21, The immediately preceding year, that is nothing but 2019-20, can be taken as base year. For 2021-22, the immediately preceding year, that is 2020-21, can be taken as base year. Similarly, for the next year, this is taken as base year. So this is called as chain-based method. At present, in India, we use fixed base method. However, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is exploring this option also. However, it is not realized yet. Economic activities in an economy are usually classified into different sectors. Let's look at those sectors. The first one is called as primary sector. Primary sector contains those economic activities that exploit natural resources. For example, land, soil, water, air are exploited in agriculture. So agriculture is a primary sector activity. Similarly, forestry, fishing, mining. In mining, we exploit mainly mineral resources that come from the earth. So it is a primary sector activity. We have secondary sector. Secondary sector has economic activities that use output of primary sector to produce goods. So whatever are the outputs of these sectors, for example, let's say paddy, wheat are outputs of agriculture sector, lumber is output of forestry sector. So both these are used by secondary sector to produce goods. For example, wheat can be used to produce wheat flour or biscuits. So such industry is a manufacturing industry which falls under secondary sector. Food processing and mineral processing are also examples of secondary sector. What is tertiary sector? Economic services that are essential for primary and secondary sector are called as tertiary sector. So it is basically called as service sector. For example, transportation, communication, banking, healthcare, education, etc. fall under tertiary sector. We also have what are called as quaternary sector and quinary sector. Let's look at these also. Quaternary sector is a highly skilled knowledge sector. For example, R&D scientists, doctors, lawyers, data analysts fall under quaternary sector. Quinary sector involves activities of decision making at the highest level of economy. For example, government, that is our MPs and MLAs, as well as senior officers of bureaucracy are involved in decision making mainly. Similarly, in the private sector also, we have top decision makers like chief executive officers, chief financial officers, chief operating officers, etc. So all these fall under quinary sector. Many economists, however, do not classify these two as separate sectors. They call these two sectors as part of tertiary sector only. So they can say simply there are only three sectors in economy, that is primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. And within tertiary sector, there are subparts called as quaternary and as well as quinary sectors. So this is how usually sectors are demarcated in an economy. However, such demarcation or classification is dependent on the country, and every country has a different kind of demarcation. Let's look at how Government of India classifies sectors in an economy. Classification of sectors in Indian economy is done by CSO, that is Central Statistics Office. CSO divides Indian economy into three sectors. They are nothing but primary sector, which includes agriculture, forestry and fishing. Secondary sector, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, gas, water supply, construction activities, all these fall under secondary sector. In our previous slides, we have seen that mining and quarrying generally fall under primary sector because here we are exploiting natural resources, that is mineral ores which are coming out of earth. However, in the case of India, CSO classifies clearly mining and quarrying within the secondary sector. Tertiary sector includes basically service sector, that is trade, hotel, transport, communication, financing, insurance, real estate, business services, community, social and personal services. Let's follow up in the next video. Please like and share this video. Also subscribe to IAS Project. Thank you.